my home. I promise to keep it healthy and beautiful. I will love the land, the air, the water, and all living creatures. I will be a defender of my planet, united with friends, I will say.
My name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And today the name of our show is to be environmentally sustainable. And as my guest, I have Greg Chrisitian. Greg Chrisitian has emerged as one of Chicago's most influential and respected advocates for changing how our kids eat. His work to transform public school cafeteria into powerhouses of nutrient is his life mission. Concerned with the growing epidemic of childhood obesity and other health concerns, Greg Chrisitian founded the Organic School Project, a pilot program in the Chicago Public Schools that works with parents, school employees, professors, and doctors to help instill healthy habits. In the Organic School Project, Greg Chrisitian teaches children the food cycle from the source to the table. The children learn how to grow produce in gardens that are planted at their schools, harvest and incorporate into lunches they eat in their cafeterias. Less processed foods are introduced into their school lunch menus, and ultimately children become more open to trying fresh, mostly organic food with fewer additives. And also, the program not only helps children learn about nutrition, but focus on mindfulness, relaxation, and self-monitoring for stress. Greg, thanks for being on our show.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you very much. You know, Greg, I like what you're doing in the Organic School Project. And Greg, recently we have heard about a lot of companies going green. Greg, what does that term mean to you? What do you think it means in a broad sense? And how are you and your company going green?
Good.
A lot of questions in there.
Well, it's going to be hard for me to answer that for other people.
Yes.
I think that the word green is overused, and I can just talk about what I'm doing with my catering company.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Oh, yes, yes.
Good. So Greg Chrisitian Catering, what we're doing is trying to figure out how to leave less of an impact on the environment. So that's what green is to me. So how do I do that? And the same thing with the Organic School Project. How do I leave less of an impact on the environment? And so we're trying to pay attention to where our food comes from. So I've mapped on a world map where all of my food comes from. And I'm trying to reduce the miles on how far it travels. I am also, so because of that, that means I want to try and buy more and more local food.
And the reason why you're trying to reduce travel, because what, less energy?
Yeah, the average food travels, the average ingredient travels 1,500 miles away.
1,500 miles away?
Yeah. So that's for my catering company, restaurants that you like to go to,
Yes.
Food at the grocery store. So the less it travels, the better. And also, if the food is grown with chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, if the animals get hormones or antibiotics, then that ends up in it eventually ends up in the earth and then in the water.
And in our body.
And in our body.
Yes.
And so the environment, I don't think, can handle all those pesticides, all those chemicals. And I don't know how the people like you can clean them out of the water.
Well, we don't. When it comes into our sewage treatment plant, it goes right back into the environment.
Right. And so going green to me is paying attention to that, lessening the miles on how far my food travels, and are they using these chemicals? And so I'm buying less and less food from far away, and I'm buying more and more food that doesn't use these chemicals. All of my meat is hormone antibiotic free, and Some of my vegetables are local, and more of them are organic and local.
So by going green, your company, you're using less transportation, which helps the climate change, because whatever mode of transportation, as you mentioned, 1,500 miles.
That's average.
It uses up energy, which creates carbon dioxide, which is immune into the system, which creates climate change, global warming.
Right. Yeah, so I've mapped, I know where all my food comes from, exactly how many miles away. And so I can look at that, diagnose the problem, and then solve it.
That's excellent. You know, the name of our show, Environmentally Sustainable, and we use that term, sustainable. How do you find sustainability?
That's another tough one.
Yes, it's because
everyone's using it.
Everyone nowadays is using that word. They're using green,
right,
and they're using sustainability.
To me, when I think of that word, and I don't have the dictionary definition of that,
yeah.
But I'm trying to run a business that makes money,
okay.
that stays in business,
okay.
and have happy customers,
yes.
like anybody that has a business.
Okay.
And I'm trying to leave less and less and less of an impact on the environment, so future generations have a clean place to live.
Yes.
With my staff, I'm trying to have a staff. I have about 30 employees now.
Yes.
I'm trying to make sure that they're happy at work, and that they're able to take care of their families.
Yes.
That they're able to participate in their community activities. I don't monitor what they're doing, but I want them involved with their community. I want them involved with their churches if they're church
sure,
folk.
Sure.
And then I look at my policies, and I make sure that my company policies include women, include minorities, include people with disabilities, include all those people that live in Chicago. Now, I happen to be a higher-end caterer, so I can't really today sell my food to the less advantaged people, lower-income folk
sure.
today.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean I can't attempt to help that community in some way.
Sure.
So to me, sustainability doesn't just mean happy customers that call again and I make money.
Sure.
But it involves my staff, the environment, how I govern my company, the community that my company's
sure.
in. So I'm close to a zero waste company.
A zero waste company?
I'm close to that.
Okay.
I'm probably the closest in Chicago.
Oh.
I just have some plastic items that I can't recycle yet. And my staff stays with me for a long time. I pay some of their insurance.
Sure.
I try to go above and beyond with them.
Sure. And you mentioned keeping your staff happy.
It's critical.
But I think you're also keeping them healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the key. And also you mentioned that you have a catering business, that it's a for-profit business, but you're helping whoever hires you to cater their food. You provide good nutrition food for that client.
Right.
Right? Probably food that has less additives to it, less processed type of foods. And so what you're providing to your clients and your employees is health.
Yeah.
Which is a key.
It's a key. I have a large a kitchen. Most of my staff, they like to eat a lot of meat.
Yes.
Right? And I myself eat hardly any meat.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm instituting more and more vegetables into the employee meal. And every once in a while there's no meat at the employee meal.
Yeah.
And I also do a lot of hot room yoga.
Yeah.
And I invite people to come with me.
Bikram
yoga.
Okay.
It's a hot room
Yeah.
that you do yoga in.
Yeah.
And I try to work with them on getting them to exercise a little bit.
Yes.
You know, and then the organic school project that I have, I invite them to come and help the organic school project.
Yeah.
Because I think it's good to do selfless service.
Yes.
You know, it's good to go help,
Sure.
because even they can help other people that are less fortunate than them.
Yes. Yes.
So let's go help them.
Yes. And I think that's the way we could save the planet.
It's
One meal at a time.
I think it's key. Everybody eats.
And your company is going green, and your company is going sustainable.
Yeah.
Now what can people do at home to be a sustainable citizen?
Good. One more point about sustainable.
Okay, yeah.
And so what I'm doing is I have policy written around that.
Okay.
I have employee manual written around sustainability. I have policies written all around sustainability, and it's going to be in my corporate charter.
Yes.
So if somebody buys my company, they have to do what I do. So it's not just talk.
So every company out there now is talking about sustainability.
Yeah, the question to those companies is it in your employee manual, and is it in your corporate charter?
Yeah.
If it's not in their corporate charter, they're just talking.
And is it is a policy for at the end of being sustainable, is it saving the planet at the end? This is what we're all trying to do when we use that word. You think that's what everyone is trying to do when they use that word, sustainable?
I hope.
You hope.
I
Yes,
hope.
yes.
I hope they are.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't judge them. Well, and to answer your question about what people can do at home.
Yes.
Well, the easiest thing to do is to pay attention to where your food comes from.
Okay.
And to go to farmers markets regularly and buy as much food from local farmers as you can. That's the easiest way to get started.
Now, are your local farmers, do they use any pesticides or do they use any fertilizers that they buy for the store, or how are they growing their food, their vegetables?
You have to ask them.
Ask them, yes.
Some are growing organically,
Okay.
and you want to buy from them first.
Yes.
But second, even if they are using hormones, pesticides, I think buying the local food is more healthy.
Because of the transportation and the time it gets here?
Yeah, and it's grown with people's hands. A
Yeah.
lot of the food that comes from far away, it's all machine grown. And so you want people you want to know the people that are growing your food, if you can.
Do you foresee locally that more of your homeowners are going to have a vegetable garden in their backyard,
Oh, yeah.
like we used to have a long time ago, and because of the way the maybe the prices are maybe too high, that a lot of them may have to grow vegetables at home.
It's coming.
You see it coming?
I see a garden in every school. I think it's going to start in the schools.
Okay.
And that the kids are going to bring that home, Frank. I think today a lot of parents are too busy, but soon when they go to their kids' school and there's a vegetable garden in every school, the parents are going to do it at home too. The healing is going to come from the garden. That's what I think.
Yeah.
It's going to come from local food. Right now in Illinois, we grow 2 crops, corn and soy.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful soiled state.
Well, yes, black soil. We have black.
Beautiful black soil. And it can't stay like that forever. It
Well,
can't.
just yesterday in the paper, they say that the price of eggs are going up.
Right.
Because the feed for the chicken, that price is going up, and as you mentioned, here in our state of Illinois or in the Midwest, we grow corn and soybean, and that price of corn is going up, and we used to grow a lot of corn for human consumption.
Right.
Now, they're growing less corn for human consumption and more corn for feed and for energy.
Right.
And because of that item of growing more corn for fuel and livestock feed, energy, is that people are going to start growing may have to start growing their vegetable gardens at home.
Yeah.
Because of that, and also by them using, our state wants to make ethanol, and we got corn, but the problem with that is that they're depleting the water supply.
Right.
So they may have to come up with a different type of situation. But you mentioned that your company is green and sustainable. What other advice do you have for any business or companies out there to accomplish that?
Well, I think that people, companies, and people at homes have to pay attention to where their stuff comes from.
Okay.
So if it's a company that's a manufacturer, they need inputs to make their product.
Okay.
They need to know from their vendors, are you taking care of your garbage? Or are you just making us our parts that we need and wasting all this stuff and it's ending up in the dump?
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, 2% of their garbage ends up in the dumps.
2%?
2%. In
Oh,
America,
okay.
it's 75%.
75%.
So at home or your business, where is your stuff coming from? At home, where's your dressers,
Yeah.
your paint, your tiles, your refrigerator? Are those companies that you buy from, your clothes, your cars, are those companies paying attention to the OA or are they not? And same with businesses. Are they paying attention to where their stuff comes from or are they just buying the cheapest parts and those companies are polluting the planet?
You know, we're talking about business, companies, but let's talk about government. Let's talk about the state of Illinois, where we live. Is there any law passed or being trying to be passed on sustainability? Any legislation coming along?
Not much yet.
Not yet?
Not yet, but it's coming. Just like this. Here's what I tell people.
Okay.
30 years ago, if I was going to tell you that the government was going to have to do business with women and minority businesses,
Yes.
you would tell me that I was a silly man.
Yes.
10 years ago, if I said there was going to be no smoking in restaurants and bars, you would say that's a silly man.
Yes.
You wouldn't have me back on your show.
Right.
Coming is sustainability. Coming is buying local food. Coming is tracking how much garbage you send to the dump.
Yes.
And we're going to monitor that. There's only so much so many landfills we can have. There's only so much gas we can use for products to travel. And then on the other side, the health issues, at least around food, soon it will come to light that food traveling far and herbicides and pesticides and hormones and antibiotics used in food are a no-no.
Yes.
And so local, more organic food is going to become the norm.
It's going to be the norm?
It's coming. And so today, Frank, it's not.
Okay, because, you know, in Washington, D.C., they're trying to pass that farm bill.
Right.
And there's some lobbyist groups up there trying to put a segment in that farm bill providing subsidy to organic farming.
Right.
See, and I don't know how far that farm bill is going, but I think that they should start it right now, having a little subsidy for the organic farming. Maybe it'll lower the prices a little bit down so people will be more acceptable to buy organic food.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right now, organic food is more of an elitist thing.
Yeah.
If you have money, you can afford it.
Yes.
And that's not okay with me. Everyone should be able to eat this food, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of these communities that need it the most don't even have grocery stores in their neighborhoods. And so that's why I'm starting with the schools.
Yes. Now, on this, you mentioned a state might pass some type of bill down the line. Is that House Bill 1300 that they're trying to push through or talk about?
Yeah, we got that bill passed. The governor signed it recently.
The governor signed it?
Yeah, and there's 32 of us on a task force to bring to set up a model that could bring more local food into more people's mouths. Okay. So we're calling it the Food, Farms, and Job Act.
The Food, Farm, and Job Act. Because
if there's more local food grown in Illinois, there's more jobs.
Yes, okay.
And more farms could flourish.
Yes.
And then we can get more local food into people's mouths in Illinois. Today in Illinois, $500 million of organic food is eaten in Illinois, and almost all of it comes from California.
Right, because in the valley.
Right.
The valley runs, 400 miles? And wide, I really don't know how wide it is, but they grow It's like if you just compare the valley, they could be the fourth largest country providing food through the whole world. You mentioned about our state of Illinois, corn and soybean.
We can be growing that food here, some of it.
Yes. There, and so the valley in California has a large vegetables garden down there.
And it's beautiful.
Oh,
and if you live in California, that's good for you. But if you live in Illinois, it's traveling a long way.
Yes. And, you know, because of everything that you've been doing and my introduction of you of the chef of organic food, or the chef or the innovator of Organic School Project here in the Midwest, what work are you doing now with your nonprofit, the Organic School Project,
to
teach kids about sustainability?
Well, we're going to be back in Chicago Public Schools in September.
September, excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
And the mayor's on board, the Board of Education's on board, and we're going to teach a curriculum on sustainability to these kids. Okay. So we're writing a curriculum for sustainability, and there's none other like it in America. And we're going to bring systems thinking and sustainability to little kids.
The kids are going to save the planet.
I think you're right.
And so if we educate the kids, and then the kids will educate the parents.
Right.
And educate their friends. And now, is this a project throughout the whole Chicago school system, or just a pilot project in a certain area?
A pilot project in one school to start.
One school, okay.
And hopefully it'll work. We have doctors evaluating it, and if it works and the mayor wants it in more schools, we'll go to more schools.
Yeah. You know, I just came back from California.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of literature they have in California about, and they're doing it in California. I just came back from Berkeley.
Sure. Alice Waters is doing it out there.
Is she doing it out there? I don't know the person, but I did pick up an awful lot of information that I'm going to give to you.
Great.
And so if California could do it, we definitely could do it here in the Midwest. There. And I think, Greg, with your help and your knowledge in the organic school operation, I think it'll be a success. And not only for the public schools, maybe your program will go into the private schools. Your program will go into the homes.
That's what I want.
I mean, it'll just start growing. And not only here in the state of Illinois, or maybe to the whole Midwest.
Yeah. And it's not my program. I mean, it just came through me.
Just came through you.
You know, I don't want to take credit for much,
Sure.
Frank. I'm trying to stay real humble with this. It's I think Chicago's ready for this, and so it's coming.
Yes. And you know, I think, Sherry, we have some slides on what we could show on some of the schools that, or some of the classrooms that you've been working in.
Sure.
And some of the slides that you're working in. I think we have one with some kids growing something.
Yeah, there's a couple of kids gardening.
Gardening, yes. Because that's where it starts first, right?
I think it's going to start in the garden.
Right, it has to start in the garden, right?
That's a cafeteria shot. Those are kids eating our food.
Okay, and now, you know, when you first go into a school, how acceptable are the kids? I mean, when they see green, I mean, they don't see a bag of potato chips or Fritos or pop or...
Those are kids in the garden.
Garden?
But back to the cafeteria. The first day we served this food, the peas were green.
Peas were green?
And the kids said, "Oh, gross, the peas are green." They didn't know peas were supposed to be green.
Yeah.
And we had to explain to them that's how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the second day we served cut up fruit, and some of them had never had crunchy fruit.
Crunchy fruit?
It was only canned fruit that they ever had.
Yeah.
And so they said...
And these are fresh fruit, not processed fruit.
Right, fresh that we cut up 5 minutes before.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's an education process with these kids, especially the older kids.
Yes.
The older kids, after 5th grade, they are disconnected from Mother Earth. They are disconnected from where their food comes from. And new food, fresh food, is very strange to them. So it's a slow process. If they're used to eating pizza on Monday, they're going to get organic pizza on Monday.
Okay.
We're not going to try to rock their world.
Sure.
They won't...
they can't change that fast.
They can't change that fast.
No one can, yeah.
Well, no one can. I can't.
Yeah, sure.
So they need to spend time in the garden and time in their classroom learning about it, and then slowly They'll accept the fresher food.
And then when you start in the garden, they could watch what they're growing grow,
They can own it.
and it's theirs,
Right.
own it, and then they could, once it's ripe, they could take it from the garden,
Right.
bring it into the kitchen, prepare it,
Right.
and eat and taste what they grow,
And then you have them.
and then you got them.
And then they're open to it, Frank.
Yes.
Until then, after fifth grade and up, it's a hard sell initially.
Now, at the school that you're going to do this pilot project,
Yeah.
are they going to have a garden?
Oh, yeah. They have one now.
How large is their garden?
They have 7 plots, 17 by 5.
17 by 5?
Yes, 5 of them.
Oh,
Or 7 of them.
okay. Well, that school is very lucky.
Yeah.
And that's a Chicago public school.
Yep.
And you're going to, you have a manual for them.
Yep.
And you're going to first have a classroom instructing how to grow it, or do you just
All at the same time.
all at the same time? You're out in the garden.
In the garden, you're getting nutrition education, sustainability curriculum in the class,
Yes.
and then you're eating local organic food in the cafeteria.
Yeah. And then what they're learning, they probably come back to their home
Oh, yeah.
and say, "Ma, Dad, this is what I'm doing at school,
Right.
and let's start one here at our house.
And then when they go shopping, they tell their mom, no, I don't want that, I want that.
More greener."
Right.
And then do you have a session on pesticides and or do you teach that chemicals or
We will be teaching that. We're gentle with that stuff. We're trying not to ruffle any feathers.
Yes,
You know.
I-
So we don't talk bad about pesticides. We talk good about fresh food.
but okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand.
It's, we don't want the system to be insulted.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah,
So
you want to be positive.
Yeah, we want to be positive and respectful.
And then also you're teaching them about sustainability also.
Yeah. When they hear how far their food travels, you can hear a pin drop in the class.
Oh.
They totally understand food miles more than adults.
Because these kids are learning more. They're not.
They're open to it.
They're open to it. It's right. And so what grades are you starting with at the schools?
K through 8.
K through 8.
Yeah. K through 8.
And the kindergarten kids are also gardening?
Yep.
The first, second, all the way up to 8th grade.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And then do you foresee this in the future going into high schools?
Oh, yeah.
Also.
I'll say again, I see a garden in every school in America. Grammar school, high school, college. To keep people connected to the earth.
Yes.
To their food.
And then your staff, you're training all of your staff to be a teacher?
Yeah. Well, we're teaching the teachers.
You're teaching the teachers?
Yeah, to teach this.
Okay.
I don't want to be at the school.
No, okay, so you're teaching the teachers and
The cafeteria people.
on the cafeteria people?
Yeah.
And they're learning also, and in turn they may cook.